Do you find it hard to love yourself? Is it often easier to accept the flaws of other people and not give that same grace to yourself? Well, stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to give you the inside scoop from psychotherapy as to why it's so difficult to love ourselves, and then also what you could possibly do about that. So, as a psychologist and frankly a human being, I know that it can be really difficult to love ourselves. And people get so creative in the ways that they choose not to love themselves. I'm going to give you a list, and I guarantee that you've probably used at least one of these things to not love yourself. Height, weight, personality, addictions, behaviors, habits, your face, regret, shame, your past. Really, the list can go on. So why exactly is it so difficult to love ourselves when we have these traits compared to loving other people? Why are we not living in a world where we're constantly patient with ourselves and constantly showering ourselves with compliments? So before we get to how you can cultivate love for yourself, here's a few possible answers to this question. The first idea is that we don't see the value in it. Because of the kind of society we live in, we often evaluate ourselves in terms of accomplishment, in terms of finances, materialistic pursuits, anything external really. And so if we've decided that it's these external things that are important to us, we probably won't see the value in loving ourselves. Secondly, and linked to the first reason, is that sometimes people don't see how this would help them achieve what they want to achieve. People tend to conflate self-love or self-compassion with going easy on themselves, or making excuses, or trying to evade blame. Plot twist, it is not a zero-sum game. You can love yourself and go easy on yourself while pursuing what is important to you. And in fact, research in psychology shows that people who are higher in self-compassion are actually more effective. Okay, so here's the inside scoop you've been waiting for. These are some of the things that a psychotherapist would try to look at. So if they're being hard on themselves for feeling a certain way or engaging in a specific behavior, we'll ask them if that behavior or if that feeling is contextually understandable. Does it make sense that they feel this way? Does it make sense that they turn to that specific behavior? Oftentimes it does. And just by simply asking if it's understandable that they did what they did or they feel the way that they do feel, suddenly they feel a weight off their shoulders. And even though self-love stems from this line of questioning, that isn't a case where we're going easy on the client. We're just being factual about why they might have behaved or feel the way that they do. We call this normalization, and you should try using this on yourself. Another powerful way that therapists use to help their clients love themselves is to help develop what's called self-compassion. Compassion means being sensitive to the suffering of others and wanting to alleviate and prevent that suffering. Self-compassion is just having that intent and that motivation directed inward. Really get in touch with the fact that you don't want to suffer. Sometimes we forget this in all the self-blame and in the difficult circumstances that we find ourselves in. We get knotted up with shame and guilt, and we forget that at baseline, what anybody really wants is to not suffer. But because a lot of people find it easier to be compassionate toward others compared to themselves, we do a little exercise where we start with them visualizing someone that they really care about. So try this with me. Just take a moment and see who comes to mind. Try to bring to mind someone who you really care about, whom you want the best for. Just spend some time visualizing their face in your mind and get in touch with that internal motivation, that just organic goodwill that you have inside you for that person. Feel what it feels like in your mind and your body to want the best for this person. And once you get in touch with the visceral feeling of compassion for this person, see if you can acknowledge that you too are in need of this love, and that you too don't want to suffer, and that you too are worthy of having someone have good intent for you. And see if you can start to spread that feeling of compassion that you directed toward that person to yourself. And a final technique that we use to help our clients develop some self-love is to help them see when their expectations are perfection. Oftentimes, whether it's in terms of our job, our interpersonal relationships, the way we conduct ourselves, etc., we have standards that are unrealistic, unattainable, or would take tremendous work to achieve. And when we don't achieve these standards, we become self-critical, judgmental, punitive to ourselves. And so really see if you can get in touch with the idea that progress is better than perfection. Try to consciously choose progress over perfection. If you do something good today, congratulate yourself. If you set out to complete 10 activities and you completed 8, congratulate yourself. What matters is that you're moving forward, and sometimes we sacrifice moving forward because we want to sprint before we crawl. And so those are some ways in which you can cultivate some self-love. So go put those into action and you'll see that you can become your own therapist.